Keen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
Yeah. Welcome back. We are here with the wonderful Jillian JJ Simmons.
Yes!
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate you
much.
so much. You've been so supportive, and we really appreciate it. And you've been doing a lot of stuff and helping just women in relationships and dealing with abuse and things like that. So
Yes.
we're really excited to have you on
Thank you
today.
so much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So tell everyone who doesn't know who you are. I'm sure plenty of people here, especially the Houston folks.
Yeah. So I'm a radio and TV personality. Been in radio for about 20-something years. I used to be on 97.9 The Box.
Mm-hmm.
I recently resigned last year from The Box and to pursue my purpose. I run a nonprofit organization called JJ's I Me Foundation.
That's so wonderful.
And loving, helping to empower young ladies to be the best version of themselves. I am an author, two-time author, wrote a book called Without Bruises, A Journey to Hope, Help, and Healing that talks about my relationship with someone who was abusive. And then Respect My Crown, which is my new book, which is an affirmation journal.
It's so good.
Thank
So
you.
good.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, I'm glad people are liking it.
Yes.
It really this book means a lot to me, and it's so different than Without Bruises, where Without Bruises was just. It's sad. Like, you read it, it's like grab your tissue box. Whereas Respect My Crown is like, okay, let me get it together. Now we get it together, okay?
Right.
Yes.
So, I'm a mother, single mom of an amazing 11-year-old little girl, and I think that's it. Oh, and then Respect My Crown. Respect My Crown, the movement. I created a movement for women to deepen in spirituality, sisterhood, and accountability and service.
Yeah, because you have regular events
Yes.
also.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the gathering is part of that.
Yes, the gathering.
Which
I
we're
can't
going to
wait.
dive into. You are doing a lot of stuff.
I do a
Yes,
lot.
yes.
But it's like it's all under the same umbrella.
Right,
You know what I mean? Which is really just empowering and motivating young women and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is healing in and of itself
Oh, gosh,
when you're
yeah.
doing the movement.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. So with you being an advocate for women, and especially helping women understand their value and even getting out of abusive relationships or recognizing when you are in an abusive relationship, how did that impact you as the fact that you were in the public eye as far as coming forward with your stories and talking about the things that have happened to you?
Oh gosh. Well, the first time I was in an abusive relationship, and I talk about this in my book, Without Bruises, my father told me that I was being abused. I didn't even know, right? And one of the things was he encouraged me to join a support group. And I was like, you got to be out your mind. Like, people are going to see me, and they're going to, they're going to talk about me, you know? And I'm like, a support group? Like, no.
Right.
And so, then it was, well, if you're not going to do that, well, then you need to go to therapy. And that was my first time hearing about therapy at all. You know what I mean? Other than what we've seen on TV. which
Right.
doesn't seem like anything like therapy.
Right.
Completely different. So I say that to say, now coming out of this abusive relationship this year, it was a lot different where I knew now I needed to be more public about it, and I needed to, trust me, I was not going to share my story. 3 people came to me and said, hey, now is the time. My therapist said, you got to get this stuff out. And so I said, okay, well, let me be very intentional with sharing the story. I want people to understand that what you see on social media is not real.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we are obsessed with seeing these Instagram pages with the couples and relationship goals and this. And it's like, y'all don't even know what just happened 12 minutes before this person posted the picture. So that was one thing. And then also the importance of just letting people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because, we just expect, especially if you're any type of celebrity or whatever, that their lives are perfect and this, and it's like, no, you're not alone.
Right.
I suffer from depression. I suffer from being in sucky relationships too, and toxic environments, and I need you to know, you know, this is what's happening, and be transparent about it, so that you too can, you know, say, okay, well, if you can heal, if you're going to go heal,
right,
you know, come on with me, you
Right,
know, come on,
right,
we can go heal
right,
together, because
right.
I don't have all the answers, which is why we need people like you all. But people need to, they want to know what to do. So
Right.
it was really important that I do share this go around in a different way than a book. Like, I ain't had time to write a book.
And yet you did.
I did, right.
But I still did it.
I still did it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, it needs to be, you know,
Out
Rabia
there.
said something. She said, people need to see you. They
Right.
need to see your face. They need to know that you are real, you're authentic, and
Right.
that this is serious to you.
Yeah.
So it was a video versus writing
Right.
something
Write it
about
down.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of when you are in that state, you know, when you're suffering from depression, or we're suffering from whatever challenges, it's so easy for us to slip into the shame of like, okay, you know, something's wrong with me. Like, why am I going through this? And the only antidote to that is visibility, right? Is shining the light on it. And so I can imagine it does take a lot of courage, sometimes just to within our circle, to admit that we're struggling.
Right.
So I can only imagine the type of healing that comes from that, also from being able to say, this is my story, and this is how I'm getting through.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. It is, and it's such a you know, there's the healing that comes forth. Like, when I finally did those videos, and it was so crazy because I called one of my guy friends who's a videographer. I was like, I need you to come and take these videos. I need to tell him what it was. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, he's crying, I'm crying. I was just like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was a release, and that felt good. And at the same time, being in the public eye, there are consequences that you also have to deal with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't regret it, and I wouldn't change it, and I would do the same thing again if I had to. But I also had to recognize, okay, get ready for the foolishness, because it's gonna have to come with it.
And I think that speaks to where you were in your healing. To also know you were also at a point where you were ready for that.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it's important when we do see people in the public eye that we don't take away their humanness, and that's something that it sounds like you kind of took back. Like, look, yes, you see me in a certain light, but I'm still human. I still make mistakes. I still have things going on just like everyone else, and a lot of times we're so quick to take away the humanness of the people that we see in the public eye.
Yes, and social media just makes it worse because you want to see the highlights. It's like we're trying to prove something to everybody. Like, look, I'm on a yacht today. You know what I mean? It's like, no, today was messed up.
Yes,
you know, I have experienced so much rejection, and why is that not okay for me to talk about? Like, you know, tomorrow will be better. But let me tell you what's happening today.
You gotta be a boss all the time. Like that's the
and it's like, what comes along with that? You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing. We made girl bosses so cute. It's so cool. But it's like, guess what comes with that? It comes with days of tears.
Exactly.
A whole lot of them.
A whole lot of them. Am I going to make it? I don't even know. No one's supporting me. Where are my friends? Like, all of that. Like, let's talk about it instead of getting on there and being like, you know, God is so good today.
Every
like,
day.
He is.
And today sucks.
And today sucks.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Yes.
God is good.
Yes.
And today sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you're speaking to that, because, you know, we had your good friend KG on last week, and touching on that, like what you see, and I think particularly when you are in the public's eye, you know, how that impacts your ability, like you said, to get help, because you're already having to. I think we just kind of always, especially as women, kind of, do I need to get the help? Do I want to reach out for it? And then when you're holding up this image, or people have a certain image of you, how that impacts your ability to heal.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, you could easily be embarrassed.
Right.
A lot of people, I think, like you said, they have this shame or this guilt, and it's like, you know, I feel like even within the relationship of dating somebody and that relationship coming to an end, I felt guilt. Like, I let people down. I let people down. Like you all saw this relationship, and you guys were hopeful about your own relationships, and you guys were rooting for me, because the fact is, no one has ever seen me post about a man ever. Like, you've never seen me date anyone publicly. So this is your first time. So people are like, oh my God, JJ, you know my book, even though that relationship was 8 years ago, people are like, I know what she's been through. So you know what I mean?
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, finally. And then I gotta turn around and be like, well, guys,
that one wasn't so good.
That wasn't it. You know what I mean? And
it's just so incredible to me, like, as women, how much we take on.
Oh gosh, the pressure.
Like, you're not just trying to get through your relationship. Like, you're worried about the people, how it's going to impact their abilities to be. It's like, wow, like, we just take so much on.
And so much responsibility for other people.
Yes, and it's unfair. We do it to ourselves. It's really unfair. I mean, but I'm also an empath, so then
all of that.
It's like, that's what I do. It's just like,
absorb it.
I absorb it all.
Yeah.
And attract the energy vampires.
I ain't got this shield, like a real life, like Captain America shield that I'm walking around with now, and I'm just like
protecting it all.
As soon as somebody says hello, I'm like, no, not available for hello. That's not available. No, I don't.
What do you want?
I don't want to drink. I'm not thirsty. Let the shield go up and like just push them away. Like,
I hear you.
I did want to chat a little bit. I know you talked about like finding support and the difficulty of even trying to find someone maybe that you feel comfortable with, knowing that you have this persona. How did you go about looking for it? That's a question we get all the time. How did you go about finding your therapist? I know you love your therapist.
Insurance? Who's gonna take my insurance? The first time it was that. The first time it was that, and I was a lot younger then too, and I had a full-time job. So it was about let me go through, and it took a process. Like there were people that I went and saw, and I was like, she's not gonna work. Even when I moved here, I was still FaceTiming my therapist from back home, because I was like, I don't want to lose her. And she told me, she said, Jillian, that my father had passed away. She said, I think you're going to need to sit face to face with somebody. And I went to a therapist, this little older lady, she like Miss Doubtfire, and she made me so angry because, and I know this probably sounds crazy, and you guys could probably elaborate on it, but she didn't call me back. When my father passed, I left this message like, I need to talk now. My father passed away, and she didn't call me back, and she sent me an email. She's like, I'm on vacation. I was just like, oh. And I don't know, like, the rules and restrictions. You know what I mean? All I know is I called my therapist. I needed to talk to her because my father passed, and she's on vacation. And I'm like, not I'll give you 10 minutes, not. And I mean, maybe those are unrealistic expectations.
Well, it was a crisis type moment.
It was like, I'm going to jump off the bridge.
Like my father just passed. Let me just check on her. Even,
or even if you refer to somebody, someone that I trust, that you can talk to right now.
To somebody,
I'm not in town, but let me call you. Like, are you okay? And
I mean, it literally was like, I'm on vacation. I'll be back on whatever. And I was just like, So with that being said, she wasn't
not a good fit.
Not a good fit, and keep it moving. And so a friend of mine said she had went to this therapist, for her marriage, and she said, I think you would like her, and I've been with her ever since. It's been like 3 years now, I think, and she's very real and very honest, and I felt like it was talking to a friend, and that was important for me, that I felt comfortable enough and she could be honest with me, like, check me if I'm wrong, you know what I mean? Like,
she gained your trust, which is what we talk about all the time, that connection. And then that is what allows you to go deeper into your process, because you feel that connection, you feel the trust in that. It's with that therapist, you're like, okay, I can dive in here.
It's so important. It's so important.
That's really awesome. So, with everything that you went through, career, relationship, all those things, and how even your relationships has kind of moved you into a different direction, it sounds like, with your career, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self about relationships?
Ooh!
down. Let's talk.
You guys pop some popcorn. So I would tell my 20-year-old self the importance of trusting your intuition. And I mean, that's my whole spiel right now. It is like, you gotta trust yourself. And we have these moments in relationships that there are things that you're like, it doesn't feel right. This don't look good. Right. There's something here that doesn't make sense. I'm confused, or, and we see it. I mean, we see it even in our friendships. We see it. Right. There's certain things that you're just like, how this person talks to me, or how they treat me, or how they treat other people. Right. It's like, I don't feel right. And I don't, and you gotta go with that. Right. And that's the thing.
That's enough.
That's it.
If it feels off to you, pay attention to
it.
Versus dismissing.
And then the thing is, because I've gone through, I've had good relationships, I've had some really terrible relationships, but when I look back at all of them, I'm like, there still were moments where I said, no, this wasn't it. Even my marriage, it was like, don't marry this person. I hear that so often from people. They're like, I knew not to marry this person. And it wasn't that the person was a bad person, but there's just certain things that you're like, no, this isn't it. You know what I mean? So you have to, you have to really trust it. And one thing I will say, I felt like I made a mistake in this past relationship, was I told the person what my intuition was telling me, and I allowed that person to talk me out of it. And I was like, why did I tell them? Because then what are they going to say? I'm like, I had this dream. And the dream, and I'm telling them about this dream, which I knew God made it clear, get out. And instead I tell him about it, and where he can easily, the dream ain't about me, the dream is about how you just insecure, and it's like, oh, okay, you're right. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you got the message. Go with the message and get out.
Well, really reinforcing, like Ebony said, the message that we often get, particularly as women, to not trust ourselves. You're being unreasonable. You're not being nice. You're being hysterical. You're being dramatic. Right? And so it's just, and that message is often a lot louder than the message of trust yourself. Trust your instincts. It is. You're gonna know what to do. And so it just reinforces that which has been embedded.
Because there's nothing worse than going back to it and I knew it.
That
is the worst feeling ever.
I knew, but I
knew it. And it's like, so now this is what I am telling myself moving forward is, when I get a certain feeling about something, I'm not talking myself out of it. I'm moving away. And if it's meant to be, or it'll come back, but I'm not sitting here. If the immediate feeling that I get, because you're like Robbie says all the time, your body doesn't lie to you. So that immediate feeling, just you gotta go with it.
Right.
Flow versus force.
Yes.
Go with the flow.
Yes. Because when you're forcing it, when you're sitting there coming up with the reasons, like, no, you know what, but he's who I pray for, because he's got a good job. He looks good. He cares. He seems like he cares. Like, he's everything I wanted. But it's like, no, at the end of the day, he could be all of these things on this list. But if you feel like something isn't right, then I have to go with that.
Yeah.
And I think that what's important about that is someone, let's say even if they weren't malicious or bad intentions, they can be all those wonderful things and still not be a good fit for you.
Still not be a good fit. That is so true. I know a lot of great guys that I'm just like, they're not for me, but they are great guys, and they would be great for someone else, and I wish they would let me hook them up, but but I'm just like, you're right, it's just, you're just not a fit for me.
Right. I think a big part with trusting your gut is it's difficult to do that when you went through trauma and past issues, because now that's made you question everything. But a big part of that is when someone is telling you, you're insecure, you're this, maybe I need to clear it out. I need to clear out those things that might be muddling my gut. But I still need to trust that there's something off, whether that's me or something else, and let me figure that out.
That's so good. You're right, and I honestly don't know, like, when it is time for me to date again, which will not be for a long time. I wonder about that. Like, am I going to question every person that I meet? Because right now, like I said, I'm looking at everybody sideways. I'm just like,
right.
What do you mean? Where am I from?
Right. Like,
why do you need to know? Like, it's just like, I can't even handle a basic conversation at this point, because I feel like everyone's intentions are just like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's your thing? You know what I mean? What's it gonna be about you?
Yeah.
You schizophrenic?
Yeah.
What's
going on?
what
do I need to know?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And I think that's still part of the healing process too, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, how do we get to the point where we can trust ourselves again?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we and like Ebony said, if there has been a history of trauma, that's even more reason to work with a professional to help heal that, because then trauma becomes an involuntary response.
right.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't get to the point where you trust others. You trust them because you trust yourself.
Yeah.
You trust that you're going to make the right decision,
Yeah.
and you trust that no matter what happens, you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
I'll get through it. I don't want to go through it.
I don't want to, but I will.
But I trust me. You get back to the point where I trust me fully again.
That's so good. That's so good. And I know, like you said, it takes time, and that's what I'm working on now. Like, if I can just start making better decisions in other areas and trusting myself in other areas, let's start there. You know what I mean? I just resigned from a job on August the 1st because I knew that I was in a situation that was not good for me, and other people followed suit, and that made me feel good, because it's like, okay, so everyone else gets it too, so y'all get it, I get it. That was good. I trusted myself. I made the right decisions, and now I move forward. So one day I'll be able to build that up where I'm like, okay, Jillian, I really do trust you're making the right moves here.
Well, I think it even highlighting the decisions that you've made thus far, because maybe at one point you may have made a decision, you were in that relationship, but you got out.
I got out. And I got out quicker than I had in the past,
right.
which is something too, because it says, okay, Jillian, you are paying attention. You know what I mean? You are seeing things, and you did exit rather than staying.
We're gonna make mistakes. I think highlighting where we're like, oh wait, and this is how I repaired that. This is how, sometimes that's hard for us to see.
Yeah, because we put so much emphasis on the mistakes and on the negative, and what, why, how could I, why would I, as opposed to like, but look at all these other good decisions I made. And even if you did 30 good decisions, we put a lot of emphasis on those 1 or 2.
Oh, that's right.
That's so good.
We just don't give ourselves any space to
like
be human.
To be human.
That's so true.
So what is the biggest insight that you've gained when it comes to like therapy? What's something that you learned about yourself or just in general that you took away?
Oh man. Let me tell you. I know. I think one of the biggest things that I learned about therapy was how it's putting together the puzzle pieces that I'm not capable of putting together, right? So all the puzzle pieces are out there, and there are just some that I'm able to reach, but there are some that I can't reach by myself. And so I learned, how the majority of my relationships and the type of people that I was choosing was based on my relationship with my mother, and I was in a familiar space, you know what I mean? And so, I didn't even know it was abuse because it's just familiar. Right. So that probably was the biggest thing that I've learned from therapy. And then even just the whole thing with like PTSD, like I could not have gotten there on my own to even know that I had PTSD. And then we're doing the techniques, EMDR and stuff like that. So like I would have never known that. That's not even something I could have Googled. Like, you can't work what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? So it's, those things have changed my life because having that, deeper conscious awareness, deeper type of awareness, like it helped.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it is. It's about like there are certain points that when you're in it, you can't see it, right? You're not able to make those connections until someone is saying it to you, and they're like,
it's too close to. I tell clients all the time, like, if I walk in here with food on my face, I'm not gonna see it. You gotta tell me, right? It's too you got some broccoli on your
cheeks. Right.
Right?
Right. You're right. It's too close. That's really good. That's a great analogy.
So you have an event coming up. Is it Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, today's Wednesday. Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the event and the book. And
yes. So the gathering is it's a safe space for people to come and to talk about whatever the topic is that they can relate to. So tomorrow we're talking about coping with depression, and I have talked publicly about going through depression even before I talked about my story of what happened in my relationship a couple of months prior. I'm trying to figure out, why am I spazzing out? Like, what is wrong with me? And depression is so real. Even in my first book, I talk about experiencing depression for a year. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And, being on 6 pills a day and for insomnia and, depression and anxiety and paranoia because I was being stalked. Like, so much stuff, it's just wrapped into depression, and people need coping tools.
Absolutely.
And so we have 3 amazing people who are going to be joining me. LaShanna, you guys know LaShanna, right? So LaShanna Leonard, she's going to talk about some holistic ways to heal from depression. She has really blessed me on this journey. I called her up and was like,
hook me up.
What do I need to be eating? What do I need to be drinking? She's like, she sent me a list. Get on the pineapples, like get down this alkaline water. So I just changed everything, and I really believe that those things have helped. Josie Pickens. You guys know Josie?
Yes.
Squad.
Everybody else was like, ooh.
Yeah, this is going to be good. So Josie is a professor at TSU, and she also is a relationship writer. So Josie's going to talk about her own experience fighting depression and what helped her to push through. And then my therapist, Rabia, she'll be there as well to offer some guidance and to help some people. So, the thing is, with depression, you don't want to go anywhere. So I'm like trying to tell people, like, grab a friend. Because I get it. Like, you are like, dang, I don't even want to go. So, like, drag them, you know what I mean? Get them, tell them you gonna feed them. There's this food there, and bring them there because I don't want anybody to miss out on this discussion because I think that the last gathering was really good.
It was great.
So
Thank
you.
Yes.
I thought it was.
The conversation was amazing.
It was good, and people. They walked away with something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think can really help. So I know for sure that it's worth being there. And then Respect My Crown, I'll have some books tomorrow too.
You gotta show them your book.
Yeah. So this is Respect My Crown.
Yes.
Mine is on my nightstand.
Oh, thank you. So Respect My Crown, a 30-day affirmation journal to manifest your vision, and it gives you daily exercises and writing that you can do that help with self-awareness and self-love. And it's and then you have affirmations that you need to say every day. And what I did was I picked what I needed to hear the most. I ended with one that is the most important to me, which is I'm qualified, because I think sometimes we're taking in what other people are saying about us, and it's like embedded into our brain, and it's like, how do I get this out? Well, we get it out by reframing and soaking in new words and new phrases, and so I love think that.
It's great. Awesome.
Yay, thank you.
Awesome. And so that's kind of what sparked the gathering, right? Is
Yeah, so, the gathering is, we have all different types of topics that, selfishly, it all comes from something I've either gone through or whatever, but, it's like, I need some help with this too, so let's get everybody
and
together.
talk about it, right?
Yeah. You can speak to what you know.
Yeah, so, yeah.
No, I think that's awesome, and I think that's when you have those things that you're going through, it it's helpful to share, kind of like what y'all said earlier, like getting it out and helping others through it helps you through it.
Oh,
absolutely.
And a lot of times we feel like, well, I'm in it, so how can I help anybody else? But you really can help other people by sharing your story.
You can. You can. There was a girl at the gathering who stood up and she was talking about the self-guilt. And she's like, you know, how could I do this again? And I'm like, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I've heard from women. It's like, you know, who are coming out of abusive relationships, they're like, I did it again. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Especially if you're an empath, guess what? You might do it again. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not, you know, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. And that's, but guess what? If she didn't stand up and say that, there are, you know, there are probably other people in that room that are dealing with self-guilt that didn't know that that's what it was, or you know, or afraid to say it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it is important that we create these safe spaces. You know, it's great to hear motivation. It's great to be to hear the motivational messages. That's great. But if we don't keep it real at some point and just have real, transparent conversations, we will never grow. We will take that motivation and and it'll lift us up for 5 minutes, and then we go back to our regular selves rather than hearing, oh, this is what real life is, and I'm hearing it from people who look like me. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, now I know what I need to do to push through because I'm not by myself.
Absolutely.
Because guilt and shame will keep you in the same spot.
Absolutely.
And so, in order to get out of it, you have to acknowledge, like, okay, yes, I am back here, but that's okay. Let me move on. As opposed to keeping that shame of like, I don't want people to know that I've made this decision. I've messed up again.
I know. Yeah. So
how can they get to your event tomorrow? Which is we have Momo Food and Wine all the way. Love Momos.
They can go to respectmycrown.com and it's right there. Click where it says The Gathering, or the link is in my bio on Instagram as well, at JJ on the mic. And RSVP and find out more about what Respect My Crown is doing. We have all kinds of other events that we have in store, and Coffee and Crowns is getting ready to kick off in November, which is an online community where we can it's going to be super cool. Super cool.
Exciting.
Awesome. All right, so what's your favorite resource or book that is either helped you through the journey, or
in addition
like will be a good resource?
Right.
Because I was going to say, I want you to make sure
you know what? I read a book given to me by my first therapist called Walking on Eggshells. I can't even tell you the author's name, but that's the book, and that helped me to understand my relationship with my mother. And I mean, it just changed the whole game. It was like, okay, this is what this is. So you know, when you're dealing with people who may have borderline personality, or really, it can help you with a lot of different types of personality disorders that you may deal with family or friends. But that book, that was really good. Walking on Eggshells.
I used to give that to a lot of clients.
That
had like issues with family members and relationships and things like that.
It's really, really good.
And then this book, Without Bruises.
Without Bruises. Yes. So Without Bruises, I mean, it just tells you my story of dating this guy who, he was a sociopath, and you know what transpired through this relationship, what I learned about myself, and then how I finally was able to get out and heal from it. And something I think is interesting between this book and this last situation that I was in is the ex-girlfriends helped me through the healing process. And it's a conversation that I really want to have. You know, we talked about this at the gathering too, where it's like, you know, do we talk to other women? Do we talk to the exes? Is that right? Because we've always been told, like, don't do that. But you know, but at the end of the day, in this past relationship with this book and the last relationship, where 12 women actually came out who had dated this person, and these people just sharing their stories helped me to, like, you know, okay, I'm not crazy. I knew I wasn't tripping. And, you know, and now I've built friendships with all of them. And it's so crazy because it doesn't sound like something that would be normal.
Well, I think that's part of how women are pinned against one another, right? Like, if you continue to be pinned against one another, you know, you can kind of keep doing this, right? Because they're not talking amongst each other. So I think more and more we're moving towards that of really looking out
Yeah,
for women.
right.
And that's what I want Respect My Crown to be.
Mm-hmm.
Really, when I talk about accountability, like, let's stop saying, I'm rooting for you, sis, and rooting for me means hold me accountable.
Right.
Grab my hand.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If something's happening and you see me walking in harm's way, grab my hand. That's rooting for me. Rooting for me ain't, I'm going to be there when you get done.
Yeah.
When you get chewed up by the lion, come on, I'll be right here. Yeah, I got some band-aids for you. No.
Yeah.
Like, that's not accountability. That's not
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood. To me, that's not sisterhood.
Right. Being able
Sisterhood.
to have those tough conversations
Yeah.
with love, with
Yes,
compassion.
with love and compassion.
But hey, this is, I'm worried about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So why is therapy dope?
Yeah, therapy is dope because, shoot, I can talk to somebody who doesn't judge me, who's not biased.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're getting therapy when we talk to Auntie Nene.
Yeah.
And that's great and all, but, therapy, to be able to talk to someone who doesn't even know the people in the picture,
Yeah.
and who can just help me to understand me. They're not going to snap. They're going like that space to just share. I think that's what makes therapy really so dope.
Yeah.
I love it. I really do. I won't ever stop. And then people think, because when I first went to therapy, I thought therapy was like a 2-time
6
thing.
weeks,
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah, and I was like, 3 years later, we're still here.
Yes.
We're still here, and I'm still learning so much about me. Like, I just look at it like, if you broke your arm, you're not going to try to fix that by yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fix your
Right.
broken arm by yourself.
Right.
And you just can't do
You
it.
can't
If you
think
do,
positive
it's gonna be-
and
Yeah.
I'll be fine. It's like, no, you would actually go to a doctor
Right.
who
Help you
specializes
heal.
in this.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, your brain is the most important organ in your body.
Right.
So why wouldn't I go to somebody who understands the brain more than I do,
Yeah.
so that I can get help with it? All they want to see you is they want to just see you be great.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
Love it.
Last question. This is my
Yes.
favorite question. What makes you dope?
Girl.
Get that
Hold on,
popcorn
get that popcorn. No, it feels good to be in a place where I can actually say it and mean
Yes,
it.
yes.
I just think transparency makes me dope.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to share and just be myself and not have to worry about what other people think anymore, because that has been a challenge all my life. And I think that's what makes me dope. Being honest and open and transparent.
Awesome.
Authenticity and transparency.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like
Awesome.
that.
Love it.
Yes.
So
Thank
tell
you.
everybody how to find you, how to keep in touch.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, JJ on the Mic, Instagram and Twitter. I am JJ on the Mic Fans on Facebook, and I'm on Snapchat too. Like once a week. Catch that snap if you can, okay? Because I'm rarely on there. But and then you can also follow Respect My Crown Official on Instagram, and then we are Facebook. What is it? Facebook.com/Respect My Crown on Facebook too.
And then jjonmic.com.
Yeah, girl, thank you.
We'll put all that in the notes.
That's what I'm talking about. This is sisterhood. jjonmic.com. Get to the website. Yes.
Make sure that y'all follow her. We appreciate you so much
Yes,
for
Thank
being
you.
here.
so much
Thank
for being here.
you. I appreciate you
Love
guys.
everything
You
you
all
do.
are dope.
Thank you. So,
Yeah.
thanks for listening. You guys can catch us this Friday also at Momo's. We have our Melanin Mental Health Pop-Up Happy Hour this Friday.
Yes.
So if you are a mental health therapist, advocate, just interested in being around some dope therapists, come check us out this Friday from 6 to 9. Also, the following week is Elisa's webinar.
Yes, I got my webinar. If you are a therapist and you work with relationships and you don't know what to say when they come in and they are struggling with intimacy, they're struggling with sex, I'm going to help you. So next week, how therapists can help couples bridge the gap when it comes to
That's
sex.
so sweet.
Yeah.
So check it out. Of
Yeah.
course, all of that is at melaninthementalhealth.com/events. You can check out those events plus our upcoming. We have everything kind of planned out through January. So check out all the stuff we have coming up. We have a lot.
We're going to be
I love
in
it.
LA
in
next
LA
month.
in
Yes.
October. We're going to be in Chicago in November.
Yes.
So make sure that y'all come. Make sure that y'all come and hang out with us. And if you haven't, the Therapy Reimagined Conference, that's what we're doing at Happy Hour in LA, and I'll be speaking on being a multi-passionate therapist and pursuing different passions so you don't get burnt out as a therapist.
Yes.
So please sign up for the conference. Come see me. I will be so excited to see you guys. And that's therapyreimagined.com. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening.
We're gonna have a booth there.
Huh?
We're gonna have a booth there.
We're gonna have a booth there. We're gonna be selling our shirts and all kind of stuff. So check us out. So across social media, Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter, Melanin and Mental Health Professionals, the Facebook group for the therapist, and Between Sessions podcast group. Woo! Yeah.
And sign up for the directory.
Yes, directory. Please sign up. People are looking for you.
What's the directory?
Every day we have a directory of brown and black clinicians all across the U.S. And we get messages every single day.
Every day people want to know, where is the therapist in Los Angeles? Where black male therapist?
The male therapist, the black therapist. They are looking for y'all, and we have to go and search. So make sure that y'all sign up for the directory to make it easier for those people to find you.
Nice.
Yeah.
So sign up for it too.
Life coaches, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, sign up for it.
People are looking for you.
Yes. So, all right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yes.
Bye.